DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it's Sunday morning, and just finished doing my Spanish lessons. I did my usual devotions, Bible readings, things like that, like I do every morning, as I've told you many times. And usually, after I've done that, I do a few Spanish exercises or watch a video in Spanish just to help the comprehension or read an article. So I've done all that. And then I thought, well, it's perfect time to do a little vlog, Sunday morning vlog. And yeah, and I hope you're all well. It is not that, it's not that late. It's 20 to 8 now. So I get up around, I don't know, between 6 and 6:30 in the morning. Oh, it's been a busy week. Slowly, we're getting ready for a little trip that we have coming. This week, we'll be going with a church group to Portugal. Now, I was almost going to say it's a budget or low cost trip. We're retired. Retired people don't have as much money as people think. I've noticed that often. A lot of people think that retired people are really rich. Well, actually, there are some that are well off, and we are not poor. But on the other hand, what we have is basically what we've got, if I can put it that way, in the sense is that it took years to build up, and it's not a question of inheritances and things like that. So we're happy with where we are, definitely. But rolling in dough, no. But anyway, back to the trip is that there's someone at the church who actually the lady, she's Portuguese, and in her family, it's a pretty common feature actually with the Portuguese immigrants here that they have kept either a family home or something in Portugal, which is either passed on or used by the family members. So over there, there's two. Well, the lady is here, and her sister, which I believe lives in Portugal. There's two houses side by side, and every year, um, the family invites about 10 or 12 people from the church to go for a week. It's kind of like a retreat, basically, because, like I say, it's a church-based outing. And we will be taking. We have a budget airline called EasyJet over here, which goes to a lot of the, I was going to say, touristy destinations. So this one will be going to Lisbon, and we'll be leaving on Thursday. So we go to Lisbon, and like I say, it's a low cost airline, which is pretty good actually, because in a way, for well, Mrs. DC and myself, I think. Let me see now. Probably the ticket itself was probably about 50 francs each. That's less than the train ticket. But, and there's always one of those, isn't there? Um, these low cost ones have a lot of hidden costs. Like if you want to reserve a seat, if you want to have luggage aside from hand luggage, and so on and so on. So, there's a few extra costs that were put into there. We're going to be, I think we'll be hiring three cars, I think, 3 cars. And they're actually hiring a car over there is really cheap, but the advantage is that we'll be sharing. Everybody's sharing the cost, but it really is cheap compared to hiring a car over here. Almost nothing. And we're going to be about 45 minutes from Lisbon in the countryside. Um, and we've got a program basically. We'll be having, I was going to say, um like I say, it's a church outing, so we have a spiritual side to it in the mornings. Mornings will be the spiritual side, and a retired pastor who's a good friend of ours is with us. And in the afternoon, we'll be going off to do visiting around wherever we are. So yeah, it's kind of nice, and we're sharing in for the cost of eating. So I mean, basically, I don't think we'll be doing much restaurants and stuff like that. So in other words, it'll be like living here. And that what I mean by that is that probably there'll be no great extra expenses to that. So it's a low cost holiday thanks to these people. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Oh, but you have to get your luggage ready. And since we're traveling very light, I don't actually have a problem, to be frank. Mrs. DC is finding it a challenge. She always says, us women always bring more. And I keep thinking, well, I know some that do and some that don't. But anyway, so we're working on the luggage. And I'm trying to I have a smaller camera because if I bring my big camera, it takes a lot of place. And that is one thing about another thing about these low cost, I don't know if they're all like that, but over here in Europe, EasyJet or Ryanair, the luggage that you can bring in the plane, it's smaller. They've got special sizes that are smaller than in main airlines. And that is actually a big challenge. You got to have I have the right size suitcase that can fit in there, or I have my smaller backpack. But you got to really plan things because they're really, really strict and they measure and things like that. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah, so that's it. And later on, off to church. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Well, I mean, have a chat with the people, but of course, I mean, when I go to church on Sunday, it's not to chat with the people. It is as well. Yeah, yeah. Oh, um, Dave Nicholson sent me a series of questions which he had done a tag. I'll see if Dave, if you're listening, I'll see if I find time to do it. It's been pretty busy. I've been like mowing lawns and stuff like that, and getting, like I say, getting ready for the trip. But I might translate them into Spanish and see if I can't do some of that in my Spanish class, which in a way is a cop out because I might not actually make a video in that respect. I'll have to see how I get that done. But yeah, we'll see. We're leaving on Thursday, so I should be able to do the tags, which I usually do on the Mondays. So we'll see. We'll see how it fits in. Oh, it's hard being retired. No, actually, uh, that's probably a true statement. Actually, I was chatting with somebody the other day who just went into retirement, and he was asking me if I had found it difficult going from active life as it's so called to retirement. And I said it had been a challenge. It actually had for certain details. I mean, there's some that's really great. You don't have to get up on Monday to go to work, things like that, or all the bad sides of work. But there are good sides to a working environment, meeting people, and especially the type of job that I had, where there was a lot of traveling. And as you know, I was always in Ireland, and yeah, so many times a year in Ireland, and yeah, so that's not there. And of course, going into retirement, we're back on the money factor. Uh, but we did chat about that because he was finding it very, very hard. So yeah, we had a long discussion about it because there's a lot of people actually that have problems in their couple when they get into retirement. I've known a lot of people which have had marital problems when they got into retirement because just the change in the microenvironment and so on, and uh, there was all of a sudden people that were used to having their time, their alone time, and all of a sudden thought that they had to be together all the time, and they were driving each other crazy, things like that. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, some of you that are watching this, actually, I guess most that are watching this are already retired, or so you're going to say, well, that doesn't apply to me, but maybe it did when you did become retired. I don't know. Okay, I see the time, 10 minutes. I'm going to stop here. That'll be it. DC sign off. I'm taking my morning coffee.